Hello and welcome back to the final episode of Her Daring Adventure. And congratulations for getting this far in your journey. We are so excited. We're excited, aren't we excited?
We are excited. Yeah.
We're excited that you've gotten to this point.
Because we know what it did for us, and we know what it's done for other women who have already gone through the process. So as this continues, we're so excited that you're at this point in what's most meaningful to you.
And that's a win all in itself to get this far in your journey.
Yes. And no matter where you are in the journey, it's perfect. So at this point, you may have discovered what's most meaningful, or you may be still on your journey of discovering it. And either way, it's in the perfect place for where you need to be right now. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. We trust that the Lifeline process, you had a lot of insights and ahas and awareness, lots of learning, lots of
realizations.
Lots of learnings, lots of realizations, and that either you are very close to discovering what's most meaningful or what is meaningful to you in your life, or you've already discovered it. So before we move on to the final step, we had one kind of fun little piece we wanted to share with you. And this is something we live by, right? And we're going to talk about the three words, 1, 2, 3, 3 words that we have deleted from our vocabulary. Because as you go through this process, you might find yourself saying these words to yourself and this, again, we're going back to awareness. When you find yourself saying one of these words and you're aware of it, just catch yourself and go, is that really the word I want to use? So the first word is try.
Yep.
Okay, try. So let's do a little example here. Okay, Rhonda. Okay,
Yes.
Here's what I want you to do. I want you to try to push down this coffee cup. No, you pushed it down. I want you to try to push it down. Try to push it down. Try to push it down. You pushed it down. You got to try to push it down. Try to push it down. Try to push it down. No, you pushed it. You pushed it. Okay, so the purpose is you can't try. You're trying to push it down, but you push it down. So you push it down or you don't. There's no try. You do it or you don't. Try doesn't exist. No. Okay? When somebody says to me, "Oh, I'll try to make the meeting," I know they're not going to show up.
Yeah.
Right?
That's just an excuse to, if I miss it,
Right.
I tried.
Or I don't have the courage to tell you that I'm not going to be there.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
So if I say try, it's kind of a cop-out
Yeah.
of my values.
Yes.
You already know, if you say I try, you already know you're not going to do it.
Right.
It's just really.
do.
I mean, it comes up all the time when we're talking to women about money. Oh yeah, I'll try to buy that piece of stock, or I'll try to make that. I'll try to get to that. Look at that property. I'm like, they're not going to do it. I mean, your mentor taught you something. What was his line? You said?
He asked me if I was doing something, and I mean, I had just started working with him, and I said, "Well, I'm trying." And he said, "Try?" I mean, I'm surprised the windows didn't break. And he said, "Try's kind of like pregnancy." He said that you either are or you're not. So I never answered the word try again, ever.
And one of my favorite sayings is from Star Wars, from Yoda. He says, "Do or do not. There is no try." And I won't say it in his voice, but it's a great saying. You're either going to do it or you're not.
Yeah. So back to awareness is catch yourself. Every time you say, "I'll try," what are you really communicating? What are you really saying? And what do you really want to say? Okay? That's the first word. Second word, can't.
Can't.
Now, none of us like the word can't. Matter of fact, if you want to motivate us, tell us we can't do something. That will motivate us.
But I'm surprised as we started talking about can't. So in the big picture, can't is not a word. But really bringing that awareness to myself of how many times I said I can't do something for small things. Can you go get that water? No, I can't go do that. Yeah, I mean, just little tiny things, but of how often I wasn't realizing that I just had that word in my vocabulary for small things.
Yeah. Well, it actually goes back to one of the main lessons of Rich Dad Poor Dad. Rich Dad said, don't say I can't afford it, say how can I afford it. So whenever I catch myself saying can't, oh, I can't do that, well, how could I do that? I was working with a colleague of mine, and she said, well, we can do this, but we can't do that, or we can do this, but we can't do that. I said, how can we do both? She figured it out.
Yeah.
Or if someone even says to you, you can't do that, I like saying, well, maybe you can't, but I can, or I will find a way to.
Yes.
So it's a reframe again, back to reframing the mindset.
And awareness of catching yourself when you use those words. Now, your favorite one
My
is?
favorite is should. Because I feel like should carries a lot of guilt. I don't like that guilt of what I should be doing. So to me, should implies I'm doing something that I shouldn't, right? So I should be doing this. You should go to this party. So it's something, I feel like I'm in trouble with should.
And I like to say, don't should on me,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's, again, reframing the word.
And should actually goes right to what we're discussing, because if you are clear on who you are and you're being your true self, you're not going to go with should, because should usually could come from a culture, or from your family, or from your religion, or from society.
It's someone else's expectation.
Yes, it's not what you want to do or plan to do, or it typically comes from outside. But sometimes you put it on yourself because you think, going back to values, that you should is what you should be doing because that's how you were raised. But maybe that's not really your value or your belief.
And for me, I didn't want to disappoint somebody. So, which is a violation.
Yeah.
So become aware of that word. When you catch yourself saying, oh, I should be doing this, oh, I should do that, stop. Thank yourself for having that thought, but then reframe it and look at it differently.
So those are 3 words. We're just a little piece of information that we wanted to share with you, because we do our best never to use those words. Another word that we hadn't talked about, another word is hope. I don't like the word hope, because hope implies hopeless. Hope, you're hoping something will happen. No, it's either going to happen or it's not going to happen. But hope is kind of, to me, not taking an action that needs to be taken. But that's another one. But definitely try can't and should. Okay. So, being that this is the last of her daring adventures, we want to discuss a little bit about how what's most meaningful has played out in our lives and how it keeps playing out every day in our lives. So, who wants to share?
I'll share. I think I shared earlier that my item that I found was meaningful to me was that independence. And I shared a little bit about when I'm not allowed to be independent, how it kind of makes me grouchy and I kind of get this attitude about myself. But really, I think what it's helped me to do is it's identifying where that lack of independence is has allowed me to trust people and has allowed my relationships to build to a greater capacity, because I know when I have the choice to be independent or have the choice not to. So just by being independent doesn't mean I want to be alone. And it doesn't mean I want to do things alone. It just means I want the choice to make up my own mind.
Right, right.
So being clear on that has helped me frame my relationships differently. It's actually allowed me to trust people and actually allowed me to let them into my space more, because I'm not pushing away saying myself. I recognize it in my own way.
Yeah.
And then invite them in.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. I laugh because it seems so obvious now looking back, but I was the first one in my family when I was in high school, the only one to have a job in high school, because I wanted my own money, because didn't want to have to ask for money. I was the first one when I went to college, I got a job in college, and I said to Mom and Dad, you don't have to send me any more money. I have a job, and they're like, no, you shouldn't be working, you should just be studying. I said, oh no, I have a job, so I can pay my bills, so you don't have to send me any more money. I wanted to be an entrepreneur. We formed the Rich Dad Company, teaching financial freedom. I always wanted, the goal of Robert and I was to be financially free. I teach women about money and freedom. And so, I mean, all along, and I think one of the discussions we've had is, even though we weren't clearly defined on what was most meaningful, I think for all of us, we basically followed a path according to what's most meaningful, right?
Yeah.
We did, but we didn't realize it until we looked back upon it.
Yes.
So we actually saw it was that validation or that awareness of, oh yeah, that's what it was. And how easy would life have been had we known it way sooner in making some of our decisions.
Yeah. I really think, kind of unconsciously, it was my decision not to have children. I mean, I really love my freedom. Mm-hmm. And I remember at a restaurant with Robert, this is personal, but at a restaurant with Robert, and we were discussing maybe this is the time to have kids. And I said, Robert, if we have children, if we have a baby, we can't hop on your motorcycle like we just did and drive to this Chinese restaurant and have a dinner and go to a movie. And he's like, you're right, let's wait. Let's put that aside. So, I mean, it's played out in all sorts of ways for me, and it's still, I catch myself every day finding something that, whether it's an upset that I'm responding to or something else that I've done in my life or I'm doing because of the meaning of being free to do what I want and to having to just to follow my own path. Maybe that's even a better way to say it, to follow my own path.
Yeah.
And you make a great point when you said if there's an upset. So Rhonda and I were laughing about this, I don't know, it was a few months ago. We were talking because, we're both co-founders with our husbands of our company, and once in a while our husbands say, oh, you need to do this, or you need to do that, and or, you should do this. They put the word should, or when's this going to get done? Trying to put us on a timeline. Yeah. And both of us, we just laugh. We're like, nope, I'll do it on my own time. We may not say it, but we've become aware of the emotion it brings up, like, don't tell me what to do.
Yeah. Don't put me in that box of,
And it may be something that has to be done.
It might even be something that's the best thing for you.
It might even be something that we were going to do to start with. Yes. But it's when someone says, this is what you need to do, and this is the timeline.
Oh, hold on. But it's having that awareness and how it plays out in our life, and just being aware, oh, why do I have that wall coming up? Oh, that's my independent value. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I am going to do it. But I was aware of the reaction it created.
Yeah, yeah. And now you catch it and you go, that's what it is.
Mm-hmm. And it's about me, right? It kind of stops putting that blame on the other person, that you shouldn't do this, and all those words that we don't like.
Yeah.
It's really how I'm feeling and how I'm dealing with it, and it lets me move forward in peace.
Yeah, it stops at, oh, what am I doing wrong, or am I being inadequate, or, it stops all of that.
And to your point about wanting to be independent and don't want to be separate, don't want to be alone. I have found my relationships have gotten so much better because all of that stuff that was hitting up against my freedom goes away because now I see it. Yeah. And so now I can talk openly about it. We have discussions with not just Robert, but with friends and family, and relationships have gotten so much better.
And that's a great point, because once you know what's most meaningful to you and you're living that, conversations become easier. Yeah. Speaking your truth becomes easier. Mm-hmm. Owning who you are becomes easier because you're not trying to live up to someone else's expectations.
Yes, you're not trying to please other people. Mm-hmm. Yes. Seal, how's it played out for you?
Well, most of the time, I didn't know it then, but I know it now. Most of my upsets have been around if I find that someone has invalidated what I know to be true. Like in a conversation, I know that a lot of times I might be sharing, this is what needs to be done, giving some advice, and I know there was a particular person that I kept having run-ins with. The person would listen, kind of get it, and then they would turn around and say, no, it's not this, it's actually that. Remember me sharing that story with you? And for the longest time, it just made the hair on the back of my neck stand up. And I was like, why does that bother me so much? Because I looked at when I had done that, but that wasn't it. And I'm like, oh, okay. It's invalidating what I know. It's invalidating my knowledge. It's invalidating something that I know I'm very correct in. Once I saw that, it's like, shh, the person could say it all day long now. It doesn't rattle my chain, so to speak. And some of the lowest points in my life has been when I haven't, you said it, it was like when you didn't trust what you knew. You didn't trust yourself. And it's like, it's invalidating what I know, what I've learned, and then those times when I have, oh my gosh, life just goes right.
You built your whole business around what's most meaningful to you.
Yeah. It's
and helping other people discover that.
Yeah. So that's how it's played out. That's how I found out who I really want to be and what I really want to do. It's around knowing that. Okay.
So, going back to, if you know what's most meaningful to you, go have a great adventure and continue to learn, continue to redefine, continue to look at your values and just be aware of when they come up in the space. And if you haven't found it yet or you're not quite clear, go back through the previous adventures and do the process again. Now that you're more aware, some of those ahas may come back as you go through and revisit those.
It's like when I reread a book. So I'll read a book and then maybe 2 years later I'll read the same book again and I get something totally different. So where you are today, I'm going to say this is where you are today because you've gotten to this point of the process and you better celebrate that win. You're different than when you started the process. And if you trust the process and keep moving forward, revisit, as Lisa said, revisit pieces that you feel maybe you could get stronger or get more insights and more cognitions about, go back through that. But the process is still running. There's no time frame. And we're still on Facebook, and there's people there that are going through the process as well. So continue on, because from our experience, you will definitely get your final outcome. And to those of you who have discovered what's most meaningful, please post it on Facebook, because that will help other women see examples of what is most meaningful to you and how your experience might benefit them. Also, if you have discovered what's most meaningful, you might kind of want to start, it's like guideline to how to live with that. Number one would be the awareness, practicing awareness and seeing where what's most meaningful plays out in a positive way and where you may get invalidated or ignored and how that plays out. It's really fun and it's quick. It's not going to take a lot, because once you're at that point, your awareness peaks.
And your neurons, going back to the neuroscience, are going to continue to fire off and continue to fire off in the right ways, because you're living life on what's most meaningful to you. So things will get easier because they're connecting the way they should according to your own biology.
Yeah. And you might find there's more than one thing. There could be 2 or 3 things that are really meaningful to you. That's fantastic.
Yeah,
It doesn't have to be one thing. I mean, for me, I found also living a life of joy was very meaningful to me. So it doesn't have to be one thing. So at this point, the process isn't stopped for any of us.
No.
Okay, the process continues. How it unfolds for you, it will unfold for you. But this process is really only the beginning. Getting to this step in her daring adventure journey is only the beginning, because from here on, wherever you are in the process, life is going to become more fun, it's going to become easier, relationships are going to be easier, direction in life is going to be easier, motivation is going to be easier. So please let the process unfold however it unfolds for you. With that, final words.
Well, thank you. Thank you for trusting the process. Thank you for your willingness to go through it. And just thank you for being here and go out and be a leader for others to find out what's most meaningful to them.
Yeah. And it has just been an absolute privilege that you have allowed us to share our experiences. We've been so excited about this process. We really haven't stopped talking about it for several years now. And you know, what Kim just said, it's a process, it's a journey. And really, the journey is the destination. It's a continual, life is a journey. And thank you for letting us be included in your journey. So.
And if you found what is most meaningful, it doesn't stop here. There's many ways that you can expand on that, grow your game bigger. And just thank you so much for trusting us to share what we know to help you live the most meaningful life possible.
It has truly been our honor and our privilege to have you participate with us through this journey. And as you go through your own process, what the reason Seal and Lisa and Rhonda and I developed this is because in the very beginning, as we've said, we were looking for something that we could deliver to women that would have the greatest positive impact. And our vision, our bigger vision, is if more and more women are operating from a space of what's most meaningful and putting that into their business and their personal life, putting that into service, that's a game changer. If we have more women operating from that space, then we as a group of women can really make a huge difference, a positive impact in this world, and really change the direction of where things are going. So it starts with discovering what's most meaningful, but then it's about taking that and building whatever it is you want in your life that was really going to impact and make a difference with your family, with your community, with your state, with your country, with the world, because we're all about making this a better place. So thank you from the bottom of our hearts. We wish you a life that is daring, we wish you a life of adventure, and we wish you a life of living your life as your true great self. Thank you very much.